So how did my May reading month go, and what do I have planned for June and the early summer? Let's find out. Hey everyone, welcome back to the next chapter. My name is Christopher Navo, and I'm going to be your host. If this is your first time joining, thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the content. Today's video is a combination of my May wrap-up, my June MBR TBR, some early summer reading plans, as well as some channel content updates. First, I want to take this moment to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I've been a content creator now for 2 months. I still very much enjoy this ride. I only hope to continue to improve my content for you, the viewer. So again, thank you for your support. So there are several reasons why I combined my May wrap-up and my June MBR TBR into one video. The first reason is May was just a very slow reading month all in all. I did dig into several of my books on my TBR from May. I'm enjoying the reading so far. Many of these books are really connecting with me, but in the end, I actually only completed 2 books, and that was The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding and Volume 5 of the Vinland Saga by Makoto Yukimura. May was just kind of that laid back, chill kind of month for me. My first quarter has been very aggressive so far, so I think I needed May to just kind of sit back a little bit, enjoy the reads, but at a more chilled pace. Do I wish I completed more books for the month? Absolutely. So with that in mind, I've decided I'm going to carry over the remaining parts of my May MBR TBR into June. The second reason for this combo of these 2 months is June might have also the prospects of being a very slow reading month for me because I am gone for the last 2 weeks of June. Me and my spouse and 2 of my best friends are vacationing in Italy for the last 2 weeks. So needless to say, there's going to be a lot of sightseeing. There's going to be a lot of activities. We have several cities planned on our list. We have Rome, Ostia, Pompeii, Capri, Florence, up to Venice, and then ending in Pula in Croatia. So yeah, we'll be pretty busy, but all 4 of us want our downtime. So I'm hoping during that downtime is when I can also get in my reading, definitely bring in my Kindle and maybe even a physical book with me on this trip. So I might get a lot of reading done or I might not. It all depends on what we have going on for our trip. So I am going to just combine everything into these 2 months. I will have like a wrap-up video when I come back from the trip of everything I read. That's going to go over my review, my reflections of each of these books. It's not going to be any larger than it already was. I am planning to add 1 more book to my TBR for June. I will talk more about that here just coming up, but nothing else is really going to change when it comes to that video. Speaking of videos, during my trip in Italy, I do plan to have some recorded videos all ready to go and scheduled while I'm away. That way the content continues to come forth at a steady weekly pace at least. When I do get back from Italy, I also want to get back into putting out videos maybe once every 4 days rather than once a week, which I kind of have been for the last few weeks, and I just want to get back into that, a video every 3 or 4 days. It all really depends on my schedule as well as what I have going on. So the other thing I wanted to touch upon in this video are my actual scheduled or potentially scheduled books I have planned for the summer so far. And all of these reads are buddy reads, which I think is a really cool get together and just talk about how it affected us differently or the same or along those lines. So I have a good handful of buddy reads scheduled or potentially scheduled for the upcoming months. First one I have is my ongoing one, and that is the Sun Eater series by Christopher Uracchio, and that's book 1, Empire of Silence. And I am buddy reading this with Adan from the Black and Blue Collar Reader. We did initially start this back in May. Again, this goes back to taking my time reading it. The good news is we are both kind of at the same pace at it. Neither of us, at least as far as I know in this recording, he has not finished it either. So I feel good. There's no pressure between us two. We'll finish it when we finish it. We'll discuss it when we're ready to discuss it. And I hope to finish that definitely in June. The second book was my add-on for the month of June, and that is Mistborn, The Final Empire, book 1 of the Mistborn Era 1 saga. And I'm reading this with Caleb from the channel Celebrity. And yes, this is me getting into Brandon Sanderson finally. I put out a video of Brandon Sanderson being one of those fantasy authors I want to read, if you don't count the ending of The Wheel of Time, and I did DNF The Way of Kings at one point. I do hope to revisit that series, but I figured let's hit Mistborn first. And this worked out perfectly. So Caleb wanted to read the series too. So we're getting together to read this for the month of June. I hope to have this done in the beginning weeks along with Empire of Silence. That way I'm still in town if we decide to discuss it. Next up in July, I have several planned and one potentially planned. And the first one is Malzahn, Book of the Fallen. I'm going to revisit this series and get started with it. And I am doing this with a squad of booktubers who are also kind of like class of 2023, we kind of nickname ourselves. And that is Usman from Bards and Books, Robert from Punk Rock Cereal Bowl, and Colin from Colin's Corner. Four of us are gonna all tackle Malzahn, Book of the Fallen series, starting with The Gardens of the Moon in July. So we're all pretty excited to get that, and hopefully it'll be less intimidated as a buddy read. I do have a kind of a leg up on them. I did read the first two books a long time ago, so I kind of remember bits and pieces of it. Actually, I do credit Stephen Erickson as an inspiration to my own fantasy writing journey. Remembering those two books had just a big impact on me alone. So I don't remember a lot, and I am very curious to get back into this series. The other book I have planned for July as a buddy read, and that is Becoming a Druid by Mike Mullman. This is going to be a buddy read on the Wizardly Duo Discord, and I'm glad that it's going to be a self-published book. Then also there is the potential of a historical fiction read as well in July, and that will be with Theo from Rekindled Reader. As of right now, we only kind of briefly mentioned it to each other. There were two series that stuck out to it. I think this derived from the last video I put out about the 10 historical fiction series that I wanted to read. And we talked about it a little bit, and we narrowed down to one of two choices. The Rise of Sigurd series by Giles Christian, or Alexander's Legacy by Robert Fabry. Once we get closer to the month, maybe we'll revisit that and pick from one of those two series to read together, and that would be a buddy read for July or maybe into August. Finally, speaking of August, there is a potential buddy read of R. Scott Bakker again from Steve on Steve Talks Books. I think he has a plan to start over. I did read The Darkness That Comes Before back in February. It wasn't clicking with me. I think a lot of it had to do with I was listening to the audiobook rather than reading the book, and I want to give this series another chance. I already had this set that I wanted to reread this in the same year, and I think this came in a perfect time. It depends again on my schedule. So one final thing I wanted to mention here really briefly is I haven't really mentioned my reading plans when it comes to self-publishing. As you know, this is my commitment on my channel is 50% of my reads is going to the self-publishing industry. I have an upcoming separate video that's going to discuss those reading plans, hopefully by the end of this weekend, either Sunday or Monday, depending on how busy I am this weekend. And I'm really excited to announce those plans. Otherwise, my name is Christopher Navo. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And I hope to see you in the next chapter. Take care. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I don't even know what the name is at this point. It was called Mood Month May. It was called the read is because, well, moody video is kind of going to be a little bit mix of my. So why I'm combining I did dug in